The 80s were essentially a decade of contradictions in Hindi films. It was the time of Ardh Satya and Himmatwala, of K. Ravindra Rao and Govind Nihalani, of Paap Ko Jalakar Raak Kar Dunga and Satah Se Uthta Aadmi. It was also the time of upheaval, of generational change, of the coming of television and video. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey into the heart of the 1980s, a transformative decade in Indian cinema. This era marked the rise of the alternate cinema movement in Bollywood, a time when filmmakers defied the conventional norms of mainstream cinema to create thought-provoking, socially relevant films. And what better way to start than by celebrating the film Manthan making it to Cannes 2024, 48 years after its original release. Manthan, directed by Shyam Benegal, is a shining example of how powerful storytelling stands the test of time, resonating with audiences even today. Its selection at Cannes reaffirms the timeless relevance of alternate cinema. But what exactly is alternate cinema, and who were the visionaries behind this movement? Let's dive in.
वैसे डॉक्टर, आपको ऐसा नहीं लगता कि कलाकार के प्रोटेस्ट को एक व्यापक विद्रोह का रूप देने के लिए उसे किसी राजनीतिक संगठन के समर्थन की जरूरत है?
Alternate cinema, often referred to as parallel cinema, emerged as a reaction against the formulaic nature of mainstream Bollywood. It aimed to depict real-life issues, focusing on human conditions, societal problems, and intricate character studies. The parallel cinema movement began to take shape from the late 1940s by pioneers such as Satyajit Ray, Ritwik Ghatak, Bimal Roy, Mrinal Sen, Tapan Sinha, Khwaja Ahmed Abbas, Buddhadev Das Gupta, Chetan Anand, Guru Dutt, and V. Shantaram. This period is considered part of the golden age of Indian cinema. During the 1950s and the 1960s, intellectual filmmakers and story writers became frustrated with musical films. To counter this, they created a genre of films which depicted reality from an artful perspective. Most films made during this period were funded by state governments to promote an authentic art genre from the Indian film fraternity. The most famous Indian neo-realist was the Bengali film director Satyajit Ray, followed by Shyam Benegal, Mrinal Sen, Adur Gopalakrishnan, G. Aravindan, and Girish Kasaravalli. Ray's most famous films were Pather Panchali, Aparajito, and The World of Appu, which formed the Appu trilogy. Produced on a shoestring budget of 1,50,000 rupees, the three films won major prizes at the Cannes, Berlin, and Venice film festivals and are today frequently listed amongst the greatest films of all time.
কি চাও কাজল? কিছু বলবে?
তুমি কোথায় যাচ্ছ?
তুমি আসবে আমার সঙ্গে?
তুমি কলকাতায় যাচ্ছ?
During the 1970s and the 1980s, parallel cinema entered into the limelight of Hindi cinema to a much wider extent. This was led by directors such as Gulzar, Shyam Benegal, Mani Kaul, Rajinder Singh Bedi, Kantilal Rathod, and Saeed Akhtar Mirza, and later on with directors like Govind Nihalani becoming the main directors of this period's Indian art cinema. Mani Kaul's first several films, Uski Roti, Ashad Ka Ek Din, and Duvidha, were critically appreciated and held to high esteem in the international spotlight. Shyam Benegal's directorial debut, Ankur, was a major critical success and was followed by numerous works that created another field in the movement. Kumar Shahani, a student of Ritwik Ghatak, released his first feature film, Maya Darpan, which became a landmark film of Indian art cinema. These filmmakers tried to promote realism in their own different styles, though many of them often accepted certain conventions of popular cinema.
कैसा आदमी है सुच्चा सिंह? क्यों हफ्ते में सिर्फ एक ही दिन घर आता है? बाकी दिन क्या करता है? काम पर रहता है, काम पर रहता है.
Let's begin with some of the pioneers of this movement. Mrinal Sen was associated with IPTA, and automatically the films that he made dealt with socialist themes. He deliberately did not go for happy endings, which is a staple of mainstream cinema. One of the most important films that Mrinal Sen made was Bhuvan Shom, which came out in the year 1969. It was through this film that parallel cinema arrived in the Hindi cinema. Until now, parallel cinema was having a moment in Bengali cinema only, but Bhuvan Shom brought the movement into the foray of Hindi cinema. Other landmark films made by Mrinal Sen are Mrigaya and Ek Din Achanak.
अच्छा बताइए, आपसे सब डरते क्यों हैं? पंखी, शेनी, सिर्फ शीतल ही है जो आपसे नहीं डरता। आप आराम नहीं करेंगे?
गौरी, कमरे में वो फोटो किसकी है?
कौन सी?
एक ही फोटो तो है कमरे में। शक्ल अच्छी है। किसकी है?
Yet another important film director who has made major contributions to Hindi cinema is Shyam Benegal. It can be said that he is responsible for finally bringing parallel cinema into Hindi cinema. Mrinal Sen's Bhuvan Shom started it, and with Shyam Benegal, this particular practice carried on. He made films like Ankur, Nishant, Bhumika, Manthan, Junoon and Mandi. These films that Benegal was making began to be referred to as middle cinema because these were films that talked about the issues or the things that the middle class of the society was dealing with. Another way of interpreting this term is that Benegal's films treaded a sort of a middle ground between mainstream and parallel cinema.
नियम? तो इस घर के नियम मुझे बाहर भी नहीं जाने देंगे क्या? मैं क्या बादली हूँ? क्या मोम की गुड़िया जो सूरज की रोशनी में पिघल जाऊंगी?
तुमसे वही करने के लिए कहा जा रहा है जो हमारे परिवार की कोई भी संभ्रांत स्त्री करती है। मेरी दादी इस चार दीवारी के बाहर कभी नहीं गई, मेरी मां नहीं गई, शादी विवाह के अवसरों को छोड़कर। जब तक चलने फिरने की स्थिति में थी, मेरी पत्नी ने भी कभी बाहर कदम नहीं रखा।
On the one hand, his films were not made on heavy budgets, nor did they boast of a heavy star cast, and on the other hand, they did incorporate some conventions of mainstream cinema in the form of hummable songs. Shyam Benegal himself did not approve of the term middle cinema and chose to call the cinema that he made as new cinema or alternative cinema. His films were well received critically as well as by the audience and gained national as well as international recognition for the kind of topics they talked about. Benegal was confirmed with the Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan and was also awarded the Dada Saheb Phalke Award for his contribution to cinema.
मेरी माँ का मरद जवान था जब मर गया। मैं बच्ची थी। किश्तैया हम लोगों को खिलाता था। उन्हें जवान था सरकार, मट्टी के बहुत बर्तना बनाता था। मैं भी बच्ची थी जब से काम कर रही हूँ।
Next, we have Govind Nihalani, whose intense narratives and gripping storylines left an indelible mark. Films like Akrosh, Ardh Satya and Party exposed the harsh realities of corruption, systematic injustice and political turmoil. Nihalani's works were often a mirror to the turbulent socio-political landscape of India. His TV series Tamas explored a story on the backdrop of partition.
मैं आप सबसे बच्चे, बूढ़े, जवान, मर्द, औरत सबसे अपील करता हूँ कि हम आपस में लड़ना बंद कर दें, वरना ये फिरका परस्त रियासतदान मुल्क के टुकड़े टुकड़े कर देंगे, बर्बाद कर देंगे।
Ketan Mehta, another stalwart, made the film Mirch Masala in the year 1987, and M.S. Sathyu, who made the film Garm Hawa in the year 1973, another film against the backdrop of partition.
खैर, अब ये मालूम हो गया कि इस मुल्क में रहना नामुमकिन है।
अबू मियां, हमें हिंदुस्तान से भागना नहीं, बल्कि हिंदुस्तान में रहकर आम आदमी के कांधे से कांधा मिलाकर अपनी मांगों के लिए लड़ना चाहिए हमें।
Other filmmakers of the time were Rishikesh Mukherjee with films like Ashirwad, Guddi, Anand, Bawarchi, Khoobsurat and Basu Chatterjee with his films like Piya Ka Ghar, Ek Ruka Hua Faisla and Rajnigandha. All these directors hold great importance in the movement of parallel cinema. One thing that is interesting about these films is that as the parallel cinema movement was progressing, it was also trying to inculcate the dominant mainstream cinema conventions in a way that these films became palatable to the common audience. Sai Paranchpai was an expert at this. She brought a unique flavor to alternate cinema with her light-hearted yet socially relevant films. Sparsh, Chashme Baddur and Katha blended humor with insightful commentary on human relationships and societal norms.
ये मिस्टर भट्ट।
जी हाँ, इनको तो मैं बहुत
How do you do, Mr. Joshi? Such a pleasure meeting you.
मिस्टर भट्ट इसी बिजनेस में थे पहले, मगर यहाँ नहीं, इंग्लैंड में, और ये हाल ही में इंग्लैंड से वापस आए।
That's right.
और ये है मिस्टर जोशी। He is one of our most diligent and hard-working young men.
Really? How nice, how nice.
But the alternate cinema movement wasn't just about directors and actors. It was about storytelling. Sai Paranjpai's Sparsh delicately explored the theme of love and disability, while Shyam Benegal's Manthan delved into the socio-political landscape of rural India. As the 80s unfolded, these visionaries challenged the status quo, paving the way for a new wave of storytelling in Indian cinema. However, the success of alternate cinema would be incomplete without mentioning the stalwart actors who brought these stories to life. Join us in part 2 as we delve deeper into the impact of the alternate cinema movement and its lasting legacy. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to press the bell icon on the YouTube app. We will see you all in the part 2 of the same episode. Till then, take care. Cheers.